Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting.
So greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a special podcast, a horror podcast about eternal darkness. I'm your guest, Renegade Operative, and we are going to lose our minds in sanity with Sanity's Requiem. So I'm going to introduce my panel. The first guest that I have here is Mr. Drillbit.
Oh, hey everyone. Pretty excited to at least talk about this game in particular, since it happens to be one of my favorite horror games.
Next up is Infernal Dragon.
What up?
Next up is Max P, or Lord Letro.
Lord Actor, I'll take that. Hi, hello, it is an honor to be here. I'm excited to talk about this game. I'm not sure how much I should plug, so I will not.
Next up we have Overlord Cujo.
Hey, how's it going? You can just call me Ben too, it's just my handle.
That's fine. Next up we have Brandon.
Hi, I exist. I'm forever in Eternal Darkness. Yeah.
And last but not least, we have Spooky.
Hi. What's up?
Hey, you can be casual, you can be yourself, it's fine.
No.
Alright, so we're gonna get right into the questions then. So we're gonna do number one, which I will read off, and then I will get someone else to read the next one after we finish that topic in particular. So how did you hear about Eternal Darkness for the first time? Describe why you were compelled to pick up the game in the first place. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Mine's kind of simple.
All right.
I actually watched a couple of friends play it on Twitch about almost 10 years now. So roughly 8 years ago on Twitch. And the game kind of piqued my interest because seeing them getting trippy with the insanity effects and whatnot, that kind of piqued my interest into the game. Unfortunately, I couldn't play it until years later because I don't have the official equipment to play it. Hint. But that's how I got into Eternal Darkness.
I guess I can go next. Mine's is rather simple. So I recently just played this game on the GameCube emulation via Dolphin, and I played it for like a couple of hours. Really enjoyed it so far. I heard of this game before, back in the past, even during then, like 2002, but I never quite picked it up because most of the people I knew back then were Resident Evil people, so they were busy playing the remake of RE1. However, that being said, I kept hearing about it years later, and then I eventually got my hands on it today. Very intriguing concept. I like how the sanity messes with your mind. We're going to get more into that as the questions go on. And I thought this game was unique for a horror game of its time. I've never quite seen anything tackled in this manner, so I can't wait to talk about it any further than this.
Yeah, me personally, I remember reading about it in like a Game Informer, and it looked kind of neat. When it first came out, it struck me as being kind of similar to like a Resident Evil style game. It looked tank control-y at the time. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I could get into that. And then, the Sanity Meter was like an obvious standout for it. I'm like, that's kind of neat, because every horror game up till then had always been like, you're scared, deal with it. I'm like, no, I'm kind of in. But like Sanity Meter would like actually mess with you as a player, so I was super into that. So started checking it out, and it was pretty cool. The game really handled nicely, and I thought it was just really interesting. And I like that it's had a big impact on a lot of meta horror after it came out. So yeah, I'm super excited to talk about it.
Yeah, one of the influences that I heard from a friend was that a lot of Lovecraft stuff, Cthulhu or whatever you pronounce it as,
Cthulhu.
Yeah, Cthulhu. So I
close enough. You say it right, you start bleeding in the nose. I get it.
Yeah, it's just
you know too much.
Yeah. I heard those stories just in general. They started messing with your sanity, and it sort of reflects on this. So maybe some of the inspiration was definitely justified, because the way they incorporated that into game mechanics is a bit crazy. But anyone else have any questions on this?
I was gonna say the way I heard about it was actually kind of similar to that. I haven't read all of different Lovecraft stories, but I've always been very interested in them. And what I heard about this game through various hearsay, but the main spot I heard about it was when I was playing Amnesia Dark Descent, which is also heavily Cthulhu inspired. And I got kind of annoyed with how they did Sanity after the first few hours of it. And everyone in chat was like, you know, oh, Max, you're having such a hard time with the sanity of this. You will adore Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem. And that's why I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's pick it up. Let's have some fun. And I absolutely loved how they dealt with Sanity. Thought it was an absolute joy.
What about you, Inferno? What's your experience on this?
Well, I watch a lot of countdown lists on YouTube from time to time, and I don't remember the particular topic of this one. This was years ago. But Eternal Darkness was one of the entries on it. I feel like it had to do with how horror games are effective, but whatever.
Probably like different ways of how they deal with it.
Yeah, what really stood out to me, though, was what stood out to many other people.
Yeah, fourth wall breaks.
Yeah.
We'll definitely get to later, is the sanity effects. And I think, what the fuck just happened? How'd it do that?
Mm-hmm.
And then I fell down the rabbit hole. And here we are.
I hate
Red just brought up something in chat. Yeah, the first Metal Gear Solid with who'chamacallit Psycho Mantis. You know, like definitely seeing that than seeing this. Very similar style.
Don't you?
Yeah. I felt so bad. I played that on like the PS3 store, whatever you want to call it. So there wasn't any save files, but like everyone in chat was like, oh, they rag on you for playing whatever game. And I felt a little tear because I didn't get to play it originally.
Yeah, Twin Snakes is like, I see you're a fan of Smash Brothers. It's like, how did you know?
You know, obviously we know it through like memes and stuff, but just imagine as a kid just being like, oh, wait, am I allowed to swear real quick? Am I allowed to swear?
Yes. You can swear.
Okay, I'm trying to keep it PG. It's not my playground. But just being like, oh shit, oh god, how do you know?
Yeah, I know it's had a bunch of influences. There's like I know Arkham Asylum does something like that at some point, and there's like Doki Doki Literature Club had influences of that in there. But I think it all comes back to like Eternal Darkness for doing a lot of that meta stuff, that fourth wall break.
It was done very smoothly. It didn't feel weird or out of place. Yeah.
That's one of the reasons.
It felt weird now and then.
That's one of the reasons I brought up Kojima, is because more or less, I mean, games have been doing it since the dawn of time, even before he hopped onto the scene. But that was one of the prominent moments where he started to mess with the player. Put your controller on the floor, and I'm gonna read your memory card, and you've been fucking up in the game the entire time. So it feels like Eternal Darkness is essentially just this whole mechanic incorporated into some gameplay fashion, which I thoroughly appreciate. But if you want to get super technical, Silicon Knights also did the remake for Twin Snakes, which is another story entirely.
Someday I will sit down and play that game. I have not, unfortunately. Played all the other Metal Gear Solids, but not that one.
I was gonna say that personally, I'm gonna say if you played the first Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation, it might feel like a bit of a punch in the gut.
I was gonna say I loved that game.
Yeah, me too. But that's neither here nor there.
From the first moment,
I can know that all day.
Moment of like, wait, they could see my like footprints in the snow. Oh, this is the best game ever. I love this.
But any other experiences spooky?
Well, I first heard about this from a couple friends who grew up playing this game, and since I really love horror games, they're like, oh my god, you should totally check this out. I mean, the scares are kind of dated, you know, for when it came out at the time. but it's really cool, and you like Cthulhu shit. Check it out." And I was like, "Sure, I'll check it out," and I did. I only played it once, but I would like to play it again one of these days. But I thoroughly enjoyed the game. It was really cool. I liked, like, my sanity was always basically at 0, so I saw all the weird shit that happened all the time, and it was great.
Oh, you played it the best way.
Yeah.
When do we get to that plot point? Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that.
We're almost there too. So I guess we can go off and do number 2 since one.
Wait, but I hadn't given my thoughts yet.
Hurry up, you fucker! No, I'm
Nothing
kidding.
about your loss.
Oh,
Brandon, please.
My immersion, my showmanship. Hurry up with the mic pops, fucker.
Oh wow.
Anyways, I was gonna say, well, I think I got into it because I actually I only it's because of word of mouth and all of that, and some people said it was a really scary horror game online. And then I went one day to a GameStop and bought it, back when they used to have retro stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's not for $300 and
Right.
Yeah.
That's why emulation is the best.
But yeah, I played it on the game, and then I think I was always holding it off for a while, but I did recently beat it on the Wii, so that game, yeah, that was a good experience. That's how I got into it.
all right. So now we can finally move on to question number 2. Drill, since you gave your last answer, could you read that off for us, please?
Yeah, let me open it up real quick. What are your thoughts on the overall combat and exploration within the game? Honestly, I thought it was pretty smooth. It's not tank control. You're given pretty much. It's not really. I don't think it's really tank control. You're given pretty good movement, and the cameras never feels like it. It never gets in the way at all. And also the fact I do like you can choose which body parts to hit, and they actually do have an effect, like hitting them in the leg actually causes them to fall, or hitting them in the arms, or decapitating them. That's cool.
And that's what I also like about the game as well. And not only that, for enemies that got their head cut off, they will actually retaliate and attack the nearest thing that makes them flinch. So even another enemy, they will attack.
Yep, they'll start hating each other.
Yeah, it's quite impressive. Like, it did the whole body dismemberment thing before Fallout did. No.
Yeah, back, and this was like what, 2001, 2002.
2002.
Yep.
I mean, if we're not including like Fallout 1 and 2, but no, I totally get what you mean by that.
Yeah, and like meanwhile, Resident Evil, all you could do was just shoot them in the head.
You can actually
shotgun, yeah.
You can do limb dismemberment as well though, but it's mostly tied to the legs and head. But it's nowhere near as extensive as how they did in Eternal Darkness, though, because
I always thought it was cool how you could choose how you could dismember your enemies and how that could actually help you throughout combat.
One thing I noticed is that if you go for the head, insert Thor joke here, but if you go for the head, you will stop them from doing these eye lasers, which will raise your sanity meter, or well, lower in this case. And I thought that was really intuitive to the combat, because it's like when you step in a room, you don't want your sanity to be like mad low. So you walk up in there, cut off their head, and then the enemy will flail around and they don't know what to do because they're a headless chicken. So I think that's very vital to the combat itself, because you're going to want to have your sanity up as much as you want, or if you want to play the game ballsy and see all the LSD effects, then you can have it low each time you enter the room.
That's what makes it fun, though.
You're right about that. You're right about that. We'll get to that.
See, for me with the combat, I'll admit, like, okay, I thought it was really cool that you could target different parts of the body, but I almost never did besides the head. And then I realized, like, oh, I have guns. These are great. These guns are worthless. And the moment I get like a melee weapon, I'd be like, you're like, this M16, yeah, or these pistols, whatever. I got a sword, and just like slap everything in the head, and then just keep running.
Sword.
But
I got one pointed rock.
well, yeah, because
Wow.
it's like, do I want this modern day flintlock or whatever, or do I want a stick? And the stick would outperform no matter what. But
Yeah.
okay, so with the question, like the combat and the exploration, right?
Yep.
Something that I want to bring up. There's a specific word for it. Someone will have to tell me what it is or in the comments that people talk about with Portal, that the game is like an eternal tutorial where they introduce a mechanic, they introduce a solution, you're expected to use it, and that's now in your repertoire, and you're expected to know that for the rest of the game as it builds on it. I feel like Eternal Darkness does that extremely well with how it hands you different spells, how it hands you different items, how it hands you different mechanics. Like the first thing you do is, you have a broken key, you gain a spell, enchant item. It fixes things. You use that thought process for the rest of the game. And it does that with the red, green, blue. It does that with the how different objects interact with the environment. It does that with every single mechanic. And I think that part is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I noticed that with the broken jars when you play as Anthony, like you have to get them, you get these spells and then you fix them, and then at the end of the level you have to fill up all the jars with water in order to put it on some type of crevice in the floor. And I thought that was interesting, just a way to have puzzles in the game feel seamless to your abilities and make you do something, as opposed to finding like 9,000 different keys in certain survival horror games.
Yeah, like it kept doing that throughout the entire game, where it, like you wouldn't even realize you're being taught something. Like I forget what they're called, the little teleporters. Like the moment you get the teleporter spell, they're like, "Hey, there's a hole here that's the size of a small dog," or like,
the
here's the the trappers. Thank you. Or like, here's this magic blast. Here's a boss. If only there was some kind of energy blast. And it did that with everything. And sometimes I'll admit I was too dumb to notice it, and someone in chat had to be like, "Hey, Max, do this." I'd be like, "Oh shit, they just taught me this 5 minutes ago." And I just think that's brilliant tutorial design.
Welcome to 8 a.m. economy or economics class, where they're like, "All right, here's macro and microeconomics. I just learned this 5 minutes ago, Teach. You're gonna have to like walk me through this. I just woke up."
Well, it's like they would hand me a spell and be like, border break. And I'm like, if there's only, or whatever it's called. It's like, if only there's a way I could get through this border.
For the record, I do love that they made you use magic to fix those jars. It was great. I loved it. Not like an 8-year-old that knocked a lamp over and needs to fix it before dad gets home. So he just like puts it together like tape and spit. You had to magic it. It's got to hold liquid.
Dude, I was thinking the whole time.
Do I get this duct tape, or do I get this eldritch magic from the beyond that will turn me insane and make my eyes bleed? Oh yeah, I get that eldritch magic fixed up real quick.
I was thinking the whole time, like,
duct tape right there. Let's go fix that everything up.
Is this fine? Sell my soul, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking the whole time, like the monk that you talked to in the beginning of the level, I thought he would fix it for you if you save him. So I was kind of confused standing in front of him with broken jars saying, "Aren't you gonna fix this? Like, what can I do?"
Holding it in front of your hands.
Yeah,
like, do it,
please. Do something.
Well, the story chapter before that, you have to talk to the one dude to fix the sword. If you
I was gonna
save him from the two dudes, and then after that, it's like, nope, you can fix stuff yourself. Oh, cool. Well, you're dead. Leave him in that room over there.
The only magic that can patch, bond, seal, and repair.
Oh god, I do you guys play like Dungeons and Dragons or anything? Just quick curiosity.
No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So like the spell, like what spell would be most useful in real life? Prestidigitation and mending. The ability just to be like, it's fixed, done. Don't worry about it. I did it.
That'd be so dope.
Yeah.
This is just like
object.
alchemy flex tape the game with the puzzles.
Alchemy
like,
flex tape.
But like the medieval era.
It's
like the biggest concern is my horseshoe broke or something. And you're like, let me summon the eldritch gods. Here you go, man. That'll be $5.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Yeah, no problem. That help.
The power of alchemy. I'm going to summon this monster.
Nah, man, that's not profitable business. You want to know what is profitable? Fixing shovels.
There you go. You can do an entire like black and white segment where it's like, you found 3 jar segments and they won't hold a drop. There's gotta be a better way.
Billy Mays selling you Cthulhu.
Billy Mays here.
Oh wait, there's more.
Oh no.
But is there
Got a deal that's gonna knock your eldritch socks off.
But is there any other is there any other like sort of additions to the combat that you guys want to bring up?
I just thought it was really interesting that melee, yeah, as was brought up, melee just absolutely vastly outperformed ranged because it was a complete heel turn. Because in most games, you've got like, you know, handgun, it's safe, and your knife, looking at you, Resident Evil, couldn't butter a sharp side of toast. But you know, in this game, you've got like a brick, and that does way more than the super over dramatic I have to reload my blunderbuss for a week weapon.
True, it's true.
Honestly, I didn't like that they tease you with the shotgun. You don't get it until way later.
Oh, yeah.
You want it? You can't have it, you fuckers.
I will say though, I'm blanking on his name. I have to pull up a list. Roberto Bianchi, the firefighter guy, or like when you get his, what was it, an M16 or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
That gun worked. That made me happy. I was like, or maybe it's not Roberto Bianchi. I'm blanking on his name, but that gun worked. That was a little bit of a power trip, but otherwise it's just like, no, give me the knife. Knife's so much better.
I think that firefighter, he had an axe. The axe was great.
I admit I didn't use it. I was going machine gun.
I think I noticed this overpoweredness with the melee weapons when you get the sword in the 3rd level and you're sort of doing these Prince of Persia stabs to the enemies and combos, and you're doing like finishing moves. So it really gave me no real incentive to rely on the gun way too much. I felt even in the prologue when I was shooting a shotgun at the zombie heads or the skeleton heads that it really wasn't doing anything, and they were just sort of taking it. And I figured, like, I think the rest of the game is going to be like this with guns.
Man, even 20 years ago, machinists got shafted.
Yeah,
I can't remember. You can't coup de grace with a gun, can you? Like,
no,
you can't.
No, you can, but it takes ammo. So what's the point?
Exactly.
On them.
Now I remember, because with the blowgun, or as I called it in the playthrough, the fellatio gun, she could do a finishing move. She could do a finishing move with that equipped and poison the enemies. So I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember trying it for like 5 seconds and being like, is this nothing that I stab or whatever her weapon is? Like, well, there we go. Good stuff. All right.
And a giant sack of 100 blow darts.
Used about 2.
Just machine gunning them.
When you did get to the part where you saw the, I forget the name of it, but like the Eldritch Horror, that's the big meat sack or whatever, I do remember firing a few shots at it, being like, take this, Satan.
I was
so brave. He's just like, no, stop it.
I was calling that thing. I was calling that thing William Birkin in my playthrough the entire time. I was like, "What is that? Like, this is so fucking weird. Like, did you come from Resident Evil 2?" I just kept asking that same question because that's how it looked to me.
Eyeballs Magoo.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
But we can finally get on to everyone's favorite question, which is the Sanity Meter. So, Spooky, you want to read that, please?
Oh, me read it? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. How did you feel about one of the biggest mechanics in the game, the Sanity Meter? Which this green meter goes low, you will start to hallucinate. These hallucinations will affect the game in a variety of different ways. What did you see when you got low sanity? I saw a bunch of shit.
Heck yeah.
And it was great. I was having a blast, man. Also I really loved that, like, as your sanity got lower, you slowly start to see the subtle changes of how it affected you. Like you would, if you didn't pay attention, like when you're in as Alex before you go into the pages and shit, on the 2nd floor, the bust would turn and look at you as you walk past. Mm-hmm. I didn't notice it the first time, and I was like, "Oh, that's sweet." Or like eventually, like blood will start dripping from the wall, or like the paintings would get more like kind of fucked up, and it was so cool. Or like these were some of more like the data ones where like the volume would turn down. You saw like the little volume marker just go down, and I was like, "Oh, that's an old TV thing."
Yeah, or they mess with your video signal, which won't work today, considering we don't use that type of TVs anymore.
Yeah, well, my day where you needed video 2 to go do things. Like, I loved that so much.
My favorite one was me blowing up randomly. Like that was funny.
Just walk in a room, your head explodes.
And the whole body explodes. Like, that was just weird for me.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that shit can quote Hamlet.
Yes, that I love. When my head fell off, I was like, well, let's see if I can pick it back up. And then it just recites, was it Macbeth? And I was just enraptured. Like, yes, this is, or Hamlet, my bad. It was Hamlet. But it's like, yes, this is the best. I love this.
Or what about when you turned mini or the enemies were mini?
Yep.
Oh, that was fucking great.
Did you get the one where the room turned upside down?
Yes.
Yeah.
That one threw me off. I was like, what?
Yes.
Like, what's going on? The fire's upside down. And then eventually, you start screaming and it's fixed. It's like, I was on the seal. Oh.
Oh my god.
The one that really screwed with me was when you walk into a room and nothing happens at first, and it just slowly starts dismembering you body part by body part.
Oh yeah.
And you're like,
that was cool.
That's bad. And then you're like, how do I stop that? You don't. And then you're like, all right, well, what happens when it dead? Oh, okay. And then you're just back outside the room again, like, all right, I'll try it again and do it right now. What do you want from me, game?
The ones I saw is one, my head came off for some random fucking reason. That was nice. The other one was the monitor shut off, which got me really good at my playthrough. I was like, hold on. I had this monitor for like 6 years. I know it ain't fucking up on me. And then I had another one where I died, but I really did not die. I just warped back to the area again. So it's like a fake death. And that was kind of cool too. Oh, I also had the one where my audio was muted as well. So I was like, hello, what's going on? Audio? And the last one was when it said video on the top right of the screen, which once again reminds me of the whole Psycho Mantis fight where it says video and then it replaces it with like Hideo.
It says Hideo too.
Yeah. So I thought all that stuff was cool, to be honest. I'm pretty sure there's way more that I'm going to see in this game.
There's so much. It is great.
The other ones are like more enemies spawning. There's like a bunch of ammo that shows up, and whenever you pick it up, it like goes into gas. I think one of my favorite ones for the more subtle ones, like you talked about earlier, Spooky, with like your character starts screaming, item descriptions start changing. When you talk to people, they talk differently. The paintings, the blood, like the subtle sounds of the camera. Like, speak of Amnesia again, how Amnesia nailed like the camera reverberating. Like it would start to do that too. I absolutely adored that. But something that I think is noteworthy about the Sanity Meter, though, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, Ren, when you were getting ready to play this game, it is very easy to avoid the sanity. If you really wanted to, if you were making a conscious effort, there's spells for it. You do finishers on enemies for it. You can keep your sanity up the entire game, which I think is a shame because big statements of like, what is the spirit of this game? I think it really is the Sanity Meter. I think the main way to play is just let that shit drop to 0 and have fun.
I agree with that sentiment though, but the ability for you to not have your sanity meter go down to 0 is honestly a good testament of how you can manipulate the game in your favor. So it's still like, I guess I could consider like a skill gap as well to keep sanity up.
Like a involuntary hard mode, just let it drop to 0 and
you know
what you mean, or
something like that.
Yeah. But I remember like the first few zones just being like, wow, this is really easy. And I keep my sanity full. And then someone in chat's like, no, you got to play it on lowest sanity. And I was like, all right. And I enjoyed the game so much more after that.
Oh, yeah. Live on the edge the entire way through.
Because like worst case scenario, you run in a circle and you heal yourself or you get yourself just a little bit of sanity and you're fine. So it's not like the biggest thing in the world.
I also noticed when you finish enemies, you get a little bit back as well.
Yep. So you can like either just let them die or just, do the Resident Evil thing of just knock off their head and then run by. But if you really need it, you could sit there and finish them to get a little bit back and then keep going.
I do love that I feel like that's a reference to something I remember in D&D, which is if there was something where like it would affect your grip on reality, but if you could just go savage for one moment and go ham on some dead body's corpse to remind you where you were in the universe, that you could like hit a rock bottom level of being that primal about it. You're like, all right, you hold on to a skosh of sanity. You know that thing is definitely dead.
It's okay. It's like it feels good because if I was in like The Walking Dead and I killed a zombie, I might have been screaming and crying earlier. But hey, this zombie's dead. I feel better about life now. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just blood pumpkin its head with a club, and you go, okay, that was cathartic. I'm good now.
Yeah, I feel a little better about the situation.
There you go. So I love that. Yeah, the finishing move gets your sanity back because it's just dipping down into like, I need this. Like, I just need to get some grasp on what the hell reality is.
Yeah.
What's the movie Zombieland, where like one of the rules is you just have to take a minute to have some fun, whether it's like smashing zombies' heads or hitting a car. Just got to get it out of your system.
Yeah, there you go. Just you gotta lose yourself in it for like 5 minutes.
Just a little.
And then back on the road.
Oh, sorry. Different things in chat reminded me. We didn't talk about the infamous save deleting. Like, just curiosity, how many of you guys got that, and like, did it actually scare you? Because it got me. I'll fully admit that.
I did
no,
not.
Yeah.
it didn't scare me because I knew about it in advance. Because I seen people talk about that the most about this game. So
Yeah.
no, it didn't bother me personally.
Yeah, that's like the most popular one everyone knows about. So
It's like
I already,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, I think like the one that kind of surprised me is, I guess, the one where it makes the screen upside down. I thought my TV was messed up for a second.
I got 2 in a row, and well, I was gonna hold them out for the standout, but I mean, like, I could just drop them now because it's basically the topic. I got 2 in a row that perfectly meshed up, and one of them was the second one was that save error where it's like, do you want to delete your save data? And it happened at a really messed up moment because the sanity thing that happened to me just before that was the blue screen crash.
Oh, I love that one.
The system error that just goes, nope, you're done. Game broke. Did you save recently? I'm like, oh no. But then it comes back. It's like, all right, I should probably go save. And it's like, do you want to delete your save data? I really don't. Not right now.
The game just 1-2s you real quick.
It did. It perfectly just comboed me in the corner. So yeah, that was absolutely the top of it. Where I was like, man, that's touche, Eternal Darkness.
Yeah, I remember someone like told me that it happens. I was like, oh, that's so cool. But in the moment, I totally forgot. And since I'm playing on emulator, I'm not using a GameCube controller, so I thought I was hitting the wrong buttons. So it's like, no.
You thought your key bindings were just
Yeah,
jacked.
I thought my key binding got wrong. It was like, oh god, no.
Those are the ones that I think work the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any more before we move on?
I was just gonna say, like, there's 2 different kinds of like sanity trickery, and I like the gameplay ones are fine, but I think those fourth wall ones are the best ones you're ever gonna come into. The ones where it messes with you as a player, not as with your character, because like character is already dead to me after in like 5 minutes. Most of these are like flashbacks. Like, whatever happens to them doesn't matter. I'll move forward. You die in the game, you come back, whatever. If you delete my save, now you're fucking with me.
Did anyone ever see the fake sequel bait?
The fake, please explain.
It just shows you this fake poster for to be continued in this sequel.
Oh yeah, I did get that.
I don't think I did.
Oh yeah.
Or that over, I'm blanking.
Well, then it looks like you're gonna have to look it up.
Yeah, all right, deal.
That reminds me of that joke from the Simpsons movie of "to be continued," and then it black screens. It just says immediately. It just goes back to the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I also remember another one that just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, your whole screen just becomes a freaking picture of like your freaking zombie Augustus.
Oh,
It's
like
Pius. Yeah, that one never happened to me, but I heard about it. That yeah, it'll just like take over as a screensaver kind of a deal.
It's like, I'm sorry, I thought this was supposed to be a video game, not wallpaper engine.
All right, so we're gonna move on to question number 4. So, Cujo, I want you to read that one, please.
Yeah. Let me get to
You
that.
thought you were gonna call him JoJo for a second.
I almost did. Their names are
There you
very
go.
similar.
What are your thoughts on the story presentation overall? This means you'll see characters from the past, present, who witnessed the Tome of Eternal Darkness. My thoughts on it were I thought it was super awesome. I love that the one of the best moments in the story I thought was very early. Well, not the best moment in the story, but you know what I mean. It was really early when you're playing as I don't know if she ever got a name. They just call her Tiny Dancer. It's like the story
Elliot?
right after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is when you run into Augustus and you're like, oh, I know this guy. It's like, this guy was in the other chapter. I know him. Now I feel safe. But he's a zombie. And at first you're like, is he on my side or no? And so the entire thing was, whenever you'd run into somebody from a previous chapter, I'm like, oh, that's super cool. And like everything was very, it was interconnected over a long stretch of time. And at first I thought it was going to be really hard to follow with all the different characters doing stuff, but it's pretty chronological overall. It's just when you dip back to Alex for a minute and you have to run around the house for a skosh. But yeah, overall I thought the story was pretty great.
Yeah, honestly, I thought the interconnected story they had there is honestly kind of done perfectly, because Alex is your main character, right? You go through this obstacle, you play as a new character to learn not only about that character though, but learn something new for Alex to get through this other obstacle, and it repeats itself.
Yep,
on top of that, on top of that, you also run to the characters at some point again, either do like in front of you or as a reference of some kind. I honestly, like, this is probably one of the few games that does it honestly perfectly.
Yeah, and it plays a part in the last part of the game, but I can't talk about it because spoilers.
Yeah, how much of the spoilers are we allowed to get?
Random part go deaf, and so like, honestly, we can talk about all of it. Yep. So
he just said in the chat, you can goo. So yep,
You can goo.
Yep, spoo your goo. Got it.
I do like how your But yeah, I do like how in the final battle your descendants actually help you out.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, we got that final fight.
That shit was
it was so epic. As even though I died a couple times, and that's okay. But I got super hyped throughout the whole fight. I was getting pumped, man. It was
seeing everyone come back.
Yeah,
like, let's go.
Awesome.
All of us from history are gonna kick your ass.
Their way of getting revenge.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. At least getting to see all the past characters.
Hey, Augustus, test your reflexes.
Test your reflexes.
Speaking of all the characters, though, something that I really enjoyed, and Spooky, you talked about this a little bit when you said, like, you've read different Cthulhu stories, or Lovecraftian, however you want to say it. Something that I always love about those stories is how things look to, like, the common man, to, like, someone who has no idea about magic, no idea about anything. Each character's reaction to the magic, even when you grab the book, it's kind of hand-waved that, like, you learn all the knowledge of the previous person. But each of their reactions to the unknown, to the eldritch, like, okay, I have a list of names, right? So, like, Edwin, the adventurer, he was like, oh, what's going on? I must investigate. Anthony was scared, and he was just trying to help people. Maximilian was looking at it like a doctor. How each person encountered this, these weird, unknown eldritch horrors, I think was wonderful, because it kind of is an insight on different kinds of personality. And what it really did feel like reading a different Lovecraftian stories, and probably one of the best moments of that was Maximilian doing the autopsies. The way he describes things with like reverence, but fear, but also like, I don't know, what do you call it? Infectious curiosity of like, oh my goodness, this thing's a demon. What is it? How does it work? You have this thing that literally steals bones and skin, and it's the scariest thing in the world, but I must learn more. I think that worked really well with the story, especially going through it. Also, Pius showing up as your grandpa to literally tell you that I didn't raise a bitch. What's wrong with you? As it goes, that's Alex.
I'm sorry, but that made me fucking laugh. Not gonna lie.
He said, "I didn't raise a bitch. Get out." I'm like, oh god.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you need the door? Here's a key. It's broken.
Like I fixed it.
I was confused by the story because I thought that was your grandpa. I'm blanking on his name, but like I thought that was him telling me that I was a disappointment. I'm like, Grandpa, why? And then like the next bit they show it's him. It's like, oh, you bastard.
Could have been. He didn't have a head. You don't know what he looks like.
You don't know if your dad's a skeletal Roman emperor warrior or whatever.
Anybody, you don't know. Magic exists. That opening still bugged the hell out of me. Where they're like, "There's been an accident with your grandfather." I think was it grandfather or father? I don't remember.
It was grandfather.
Grandfather, yeah, grandfather.
And then it's like, all right, I'll be on the first plane. You get there, and he's still on the floor.
Yeah, like you know, like
all these developers have been through TSA and taken a plane flight. That is not proper CSI procedure. Clean the corpse up.
Yeah, the
We need your help identifying the body.
And the dude that's there is like, all right, there's not much to see. 5 steps later, look at it, it's pretty brutal. Like, it's like, pick a lane, man. You've already been letting this guy soak into the carpet for like a day.
It's so good though. Because I just imagine, like, she's in college, or Alex is in college or whatever, right? And there's like, oh, your grandpa.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, my grandpa. Yeah, his head is part of a ritualistic sacrifice. You'll see in every game over screen. And here's his body in the ring. It might be family related. It's like you could have learned that from looking at the family tree, and you called my ass from who knows where.
Because I'm an expert, and also if he's got no head, you wanted me to come identify him or what? If you can't do dental records, how am I gonna know who this is?
Well, judging
Family
by
magic.
the one person that lives in this house, and it's the only body, therefore.
Well, he does look like all of the pictures on the wall with no head, so we assume he lived here.
Yeah, overall, I thought the story was fantastic. It did a great job of like keeping everything relevant. It didn't like give you extra stuff that wasn't like important or superfluous. Everything applied all of the time, and I thought that was really good. Sorry, I know we went on tangent.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, like, if there's a goofy plot hole, I'm gonna rip into it like a monkey on a cupcake.
I don't mind
anyway.
goofy plot holes as long as it's in the spirit of it. Like you feel yourself going insane, but also, haha, you just saw your head explode in the past scene.
Wow.
That's because you're allergic to lemons. Don't eat lemons next time.
I'm blanking on the name of the anime where there's a guy who had exploding lemons. That was my first thought when you said that. But go straight
made me think of Cave Johnson from Portal.
Yep, that too. Yep.
Also, I know Ren is totally out of it right now until we come back. We can just sit here and talk about this
Yeah, it's all
all
good.
day.
Just like D&D, rein us back when you need to. It's all good.
There you go. There you go.
Burn your house down with the lemons.
I mean, are you guys actually done here though? Because we do it at some point.
Yeah, we should bring Ren back.
Yeah. Probably get him back in.
Oh,
All right, you folks done?
Yep.
You children done playing.
All right, so we're gonna do question number 5. I'll read this one off. Give your opinion on the replay value you could obtain within the game. Did you find it sufficient enough for you? 15-hour plus story, chapter select, eternal mode, which is God mode, and you get 3 different endings. So I'm sure, did you guys talk about the 3 different endings? Otherwise I have to mute again.
No, I don't think we covered it.
All right, so are you gonna cover it right now?
I wasn't gonna go too much into it, but that's just me.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of like the basic story beats we can keep vague.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the other things that they have on display, I thought it was fine. Even the option to give you 3 different endings is probably varied enough as opposed to giving you like one singular ending to do one route and that's it. I like the chapter select, so you can go back and play as the other characters from the ancient times and witness their story whenever you want. And eternal mode is just simple to the point. It's like if you don't want to die, or if you feel like you need the game to be way too easy and have your fun with your infinite magic and all this stuff, then you can do that mode, which is basically like, oh, everything's infinite, so I'm gonna kick everything's ass.
Yeah, I guess just for fun.
That. Yeah. It's like running around with the infinite rocket launcher. Sometimes you need that after all that stress.
Yep, exactly.
I see it as a good way to maybe get like 100% completion if you don't want to like suffer through it like how you did the first time over again. You know?
I just kind of do they have any other difficulties outside of eternal mode or no?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
I wish it was hard mode at least.
I mean, what? Like you want a mode where just everyone one hits kills you or something?
Or like one touch sanity. That would be even crazier. Like, is there
Yeah, but
something?
I
You
mean,
would-
it would
I would
probably
love
make
that.
it very annoying to play, honestly.
It would
If
be
they-
fun, especially if you
they-
get guns.
If they did a thing where like Eternal mode where you can't die, but you also have 0 sanity the whole game, that'd be pretty dope.
I play it like that all the time.
Well, yeah, but just like you also don't have to worry about your health. It's just go through a game full of just like with just a brain screw the whole time.
Awesome. It's my shit.
Exactly.
So
I mean,
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
One difference in terms of like replayability that this is something Chad had to tell me was in the beginning when you play Pious, you know how you choose like the 3 different love gods, right? Effectively.
Yeah.
So apparently, and I didn't learn this, I saw it through some cutscenes, but I only played through it once. I chose red because I was like, I am a Roman, therefore I will choose red. But apparently, depending on which the gods you choose, the cutscenes that show Pious talking to that god will change in how they talk and the voice acting and everything. And then the ending is slightly different because it's like insert lemon smashing lemon. And then if you do all 3 on the same save file, it's revealed like it's actually 3 separate dimensions all happening at once and they all cancel each other and everything's okay. So
Yeah, so multiverse.
it is pretty much the same ending every time, but I appreciate that there's like different flavors of it. But personally for me, I'm not really one to replay games, especially after I beat them, so I wouldn't say it was worth it as much for me. But that's
I
that's a
mean-
personal thing.
I mean, I like to play a game if it's good, if I like it enough. Just not right away though.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, for this particular kind of game, it didn't really give me replay vibes. Like I can replay Metal Gear Solid every day of the week, but it's a different kind of game. It's like longer too. Once you know what you're doing, the game is maybe like 7 hours minimum though. And it's a little long if like the ending is not that different and like it kind of changes what flavor of ice cream you go to get at the end of the day.
You see, I don't actually typically agree with that though, because the game does have replay value. It's up to you if you want to do the replay value. Because for SARS though, your experience, like especially at the beginning of the game, can always change depending on what told you pick and how you progress through the game with certain characters. Like it's not always going to be the same though. But honestly, I think Eternal Darkness is one of those games where you need to be in the mood for it to replay it more so than anything else. Because once you experience it, the flavor of it the first time around though, it's not going to hit you the same the second time around. You're going to enjoy it though. You're going to be like, it's over into it though. But it's not the same oh shit factor. Like with for example, the memory card deletion. Once you see that the first time though, that's it. It's not going to affect you the same way second time.
I mean, I think with the example you brought up with sorry, I missed who exactly brought up Metal Gear Solid, but with Metal Gear Solid, it feels like there's many different ways to solve the same problem. Like, do you go in guns blazing? Do you go in completely stealthy? Like, what degree? While with Eternal Darkness, as much as the gameplay of it is good in its own right, many times at the end of the day, you're going to solve the problem the same way. So it is that little bit harder to like get the full experience, like you said again, I would say. Because in the end, you're probably going to use the same spells. You're probably going to use the same melee weapon. It's not like a vastly different play style.
Mm-hmm.
Say it's
Yeah,
better in,
overall,
like
it
bursts.
feels more linear.
Yeah, it's very you will do this puzzle solution. You will use this spell. You will fight this thing.
Yeah.
Yep, it's
Just don't play the game 3 times in a row.
yeah,
Basically.
it feels linear, but it's not like a bad game. It's just sort of a product of the design that they went with. But it still is fun. I just probably when I finish like the entire experience, I might not replay it for like a certain amount of time. But it is cool for first playthroughs. I think the first playthrough is honestly probably going to be the best experience of this game.
100%. Like, linear doesn't mean bad. It just means that one experience, you can't quite experience it the same way again.
But we got to get to the favorite moments. So, Max, will you read that off, please, for number 6?
All right. What is your most favorite moment in Eternal Darkness that stood out completely? I feel bad. I feel like some of us already kind of talked about these moments.
Didn't help that I had to.
It did, but to like to contain it for everyone, right? If you had to like pick a signature one, I had a cop-out answer. I enjoyed. Okay, so you brought up in the chat before, like Silent Hill style things. I adored Silent Hill, and my favorite kind of scares in those games are the subtle things, not the big Five Nights at Freddy's, here's a monster. Although that game's brilliant in its own way, it's the subtle, small changes. It's the little things that creep up on you, and like the screams that you don't know where they come from. If I had to pick a singular moment, I would be all those. If I had to pick a singular moment, it would be putting together like Lego pieces, all those little ones. But Maximilian's autopsies really did feel like those autopsies, the voice acting of it, how the characters interacted, really felt like I was in Cthulhu, and it felt like, it sounds weird to say, the streams of madness going through you as you realize the scale of everything, or the conversations between Pius and insert Zelaloth, Chatagaliath, all those kinds of things. It's those moments of voice acting and just letting the subtleties of horror come to you. I think that's what really got me about the game. I know it's not a singular moment, it's a cop-out, but there you go.
It still counts.
Yeah, I just want to echo everything you just said.
Well, it's the subtle things. Like, yeah, sure, Five Nights at Freddy's comes and shakes you, but you know what's creepier? Hearing dripping, and you're like, oh, God, where is it coming from? Or you hear skittering, and you're like, oh, God, what's going on? The subtleties, I think, is just where the beauty of the horror is.
And also, another thing is, like, another thing that was really cool, back to, like, the whole, sanity thing, where it's, like, as you slowly lose it, like, the camera angle just kind of awkwardly tilts. Like this, like also with the sense of unease, it's like as your sanity drops, it is just like what fucked up thing is gonna happen next.
Like if I had to relate it, sorry, a little bit of tangent. So in Resident Evil 1, there is this, or the remake, there's this zombie that taps against the window. And for the longest time, that zombie doesn't do anything but make sounds and taps against the window. And I remember when playing it saying, I hope that zombie never gets through. Because every time I go by that window, I get scared. Eventually it did, and I was like, shit, you ruined it for me. But like, it's that kind of subtlety. No big fanfare, no big nothing. Just, we're going to creep up on you slowly and just turn it up.
So you like suspense, basically. Like, you read suspense, atmospheric type stuff, which I'm with you on that one.
Yeah,
like that's the only thing that can get me personally. I need suspense, otherwise though, no jump scare can get me on like that anymore. I've seen it all before, that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, it's like
suspense
comparing.
Jump scares. No, go ahead.
I was like comparing like the horror of Silent Hill versus Resident Evil, right? Resident Evil will come out, jump at you, the lickers are gonna come eat your face. Silent Hill will let you sit there and hear the radio, and heck, if you know where it came from, or they'll show you weird things, and they'll never explain it ever. And it is unexplainable, and you will never get an answer. And Eternal Darkness did that so much. They never really explained why the monsters were the way they were, or why these things were happening. You just had to deal with it, and it felt very Lovecraftian. But sorry, I've taken up too much time.
Well, yeah, that would ruin it if they explained it. I mean, you're not supposed to know.
I think that's the element of it. It's like, fearing the unknown. Like, there's not a lot of games that do that. Now, granted, I will play devil's advocate and say I do appreciate when Capcom takes the time to explain why is this man or woman the way that they are when they mutate it. That's cool stuff. That's like lore. But I also do like it when there's this random fucking blue scorpion out the middle of nowhere. If you run into it, he will teleport you to another area where you gotta play like colored puzzles to get out of it, and it's quite weird, and you don't know why or where this is happening. I think when it does things like that, that's when the game is at its best, because you just don't know what's around that next corner or what mechanic they're gonna throw at you next.
Well, like between the two of them, I feel like even like the Resident Evil one could come out the same way, but it's science that's like lowered to a level that you are supposed to understand. Whereas in Eternal Darkness, this is so far above your station mentally, and like it's cosmically so above you, you're never supposed to understand why that works that way. But there is a reason. It's just not going to tell you.
Like ants trying to understand electricity and cars and stuff is just so beyond you. Like, it's not your fault. You're not dumb. It's just beyond you.
You're not dumb by your own scale, but
by your own scale.
Like a good smartest ant in the box.
It's
Like
like
a good, that's a Game Boy.
it's like the alien saucers looking at us saying, "Look at all these stupid humans." Like, it's something like that.
Hey, they're doing great. They're trying their best.
You're
Now,
doing
off to
great,
our magical
sweetie.
scorpion.
What was the Manta Rock? The big flesh thing. That thing as an example. Do you guys ever learn what that guy did? What his purpose was? Why he was here? Why everyone was holding him down? Why everyone wanted to kill him?
Nope.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
Sorry.
We wanted to help him, but fuck if we know why.
sorry, something came up. What question were we on?
Six.
We're on
We're on
question
6.
number 6.
Oh, okay. So what was yours, Renegade?
I just said it, like, just fearing the unknown, the unexplained going unexplained, when the game throws stuff at you and you quite don't know what's happening and they don't really explain it too much, but you're intrigued, and as you go on you get more scared. And I also want to say the sound design of this game is so immaculate. Like, I think when I got to that point of examining items in the mansion and Ghost started talking to me, I was like, what is that?
Yep.
Like, what is going on?
I think it's because the mansion progressively gets more supernatural as you keep going.
Yeah, you
I'd say
hear
this is
banging
great.
on doors.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't
Stuff
know,
sliding on the floor.
One moment there was like one moment that always stuck to me because I made the mistake of playing it at like 1 a.m. So
That's the
So-
smart mistake. What are you talking
Exactly.
but yeah, when you're going into the bathroom, that scene.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, that
yeah.
got me. Where you see
Oh.
yourself covered in blood, like that genuinely spooked me.
Yeah,
about? I thought it was cool.
Yeah, and that was like the only time I got ever. That was the scariest moment in the game, probably.
Yeah, when you hear screaming and you don't realize it's you, kind of a deal. Things like that.
Yeah.
And it was done so quick that, I was like, all right, this happened. Okay, it's done.
There you go. Here's your here's the screenshot from you on the roller coaster screaming. There's the gift shop. How'd you go?
Eldritch Whiplash, I just ate part of your soul. You what? What?
Buy a souvenir.
I assume.
Buy a souvenir. There's a tentacle in your pocket. What?
Whoa.
All right, so I think we covered this one, so we can move on to question number 7. So Justin, you want to read that off, please?
Question number 7.
Yep.
Did you see the canceled successor called Shadow of the Eternals? If you've seen this footage, then what do you think of it? I only just learned about the footage today with this document, but like I only heard about it through, like, in passing, that there was supposed to be some sort of successor. I sort of am like in a kind of myth that we didn't get anything like Eternal Darkness. I know that it being pretty much a very isolated game of its own kind is novel, but at the same time, in a day and age where horror isn't the same, it'd be nice to have something like Eternal Darkness again, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, I posted in chat.
It sucks that it never got off the ground, really.
Yeah, I posted in chat. It was from the former devs. It was kickstarted, and then it did not meet its goal. But many of the elements in this trailer, even the Edgar Allan Poe quotes, were utilized for the successor. So, you're going back in ancient times and just seeing shit. So I think, once again, just as Justin said, we don't get horror like this very often, where it's a bunch of psychological mind games, and I think in general that genre has been sort of shelved out. The only one that's kind of still prominent is Evil Within, and that's it. The rest you'll probably get from indie horror, but yeah,
Amnesia, kind of, but
Yeah.
that's a whole other podcast where I can rant about Amnesia. But I've a little bit of a hate for that game. But
I don't enjoy
You're,
Amnesia all that much. To
you're
be
not
honest.
alone. I fucking raged through my entire playthrough of that.
like first few hours, oh, this is great, this is beautiful, I love this. Afterwards, I just want to die. I just want it to be over.
I feel like you could mesh our playthroughs of that and it would sync up
Be
perfectly.
very similar.
Yes, the first hour, like, oh, that's neat, that's interesting, this is innovative, how cool. I can throw a book at the end of it, like, let it end.
Yep.
Bam.
but I mean, I wish it would have like succeeded its goal, but it sucks to see it like this. So, hello. I heard that.
Hi there.
Hi.
Yeah,
Nice
Mark
language.
Renegade.
Yes,
Welcome to the show.
But anyway, it's like I did like the footage from what I saw. Look very unique. I like how the characters look and everything. So for what we got, just a little bit of a taste, I wouldn't have minded it if they would have maybe, put this game on Steam, if it would have succeeded or something like that. I definitely would have picked up the game. I just did not know that it was Kickstarted. No, it's cool. I did not know the game was like Kickstarted. Otherwise, I would have backed it. It seemed like one of those late in the know things to me.
Yeah.
It was. I think it was done right before Kickstarting was really a big thing. And even then, it's really hard to get something like that up the ground unless you got something that can hook people into it,
like a big backing or something. I mean, I think for Shenmue, I can see why that stuff was successful because I think Sony helped them, and I think that got their name out there and recognition. So a lot of people back that as opposed to this, where it's like indie horror and just Eternal Darkness coming back. Someone made a video saying that Eternal Darkness was very underrated, and I probably believe this is the same case that transpired here. Like, let's make a spiritual successor where not many people probably played it, seen it, or knew about it.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet.
Mention Shenmue, man.
Yeah.
Why you gotta break my heart like that?
Now
that you bring that up, I almost don't want almost don't want the successor to come out because I don't want it to get Shenmue 3'd.
The problem is that for big open world games like that, you really need like Sega funding in order to reach its vision.
Yep.
But I'm willing to bet with like how over time how more people learned about Eternal Darkness and how it gained more of like, hey, you want to know what inspired it was this game. I'm willing to bet if they did that now, they would stand a much better chance.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that the game, I think they already just had greenlit a new project. If I remember correctly, the developers for Eternal Darkness are the same guys that made 2 Human. And when that game came out, they were already hard set in the idea of this is going to be a trilogy. We're just doing that. Where if they had like kind of cooled their jets a little bit on that, maybe instead of working on like a big project ahead of time that kind of stumbled its way out of the gate drunkenly and then just threw up on the carpet, they could have put out one and then went, okay, that didn't work. Let's go back to Eternal Darkness. This game everybody really loves and is like a license to print money.
I will say as a quick chat. Okay, so the reason I know about this is because of D&D podcast. But the people who made, let's see, I want to make sure I say this right. From the creator of Legacy of Kain and Eternal Darkness. Yep, Dead House Sonata. So maybe that game's still its planned release date, coming soon. I remember hearing about it for like the past year or so. But hopefully that'll have some of the same fun sanity energy, if you will.
That's got a good pedigree to it, man. Eternal Darkness and Legacy of Kain. I'm down already.
Yeah, someday I will play Legacy of Kain, but I have not yet, unfortunately.
First one's really good. Second game is jarringly different.
No, nothing wrong with that.
I mean, it's cool. It's just it doesn't like just wallow in its own bathwater. It is a different game completely.
Yeah, that's the one concern with like spiritual successors, where it's like, okay, great, you're gonna have like a second in the series. Good job. You gotta have your own lifeblood. You gotta do your own thing. You can't just hold on the coattails of someone else.
We can't just Mighty Number 9 this mess.
Yeah. I haven't played Mighty Number 9, but it has a reputation.
Yeah, prom night, baby. Let's go do it.
Yeah, because when you make claims like that, you have to live up to it, or else, yeah.
But it's like wearing the skin of Mega Man the whole time, trying so hard to be Mega Man.
I'm so glad I rage quit that game. I'm so happy. I never gotta go back.
Nah, Ren. Yeah,
I want to sit down and play it.
Oh, fuck you. Oh.
This is gonna be a weird take. I think playing bad games, you can learn just as much, if not more, than playing good games.
Oh, this is
just on the ground. Just on the grounds of like, oh, this was miserable. Why was it miserable? Let's talk about it. Let's explore.
You're a masochist. So I'm
a big fan of Dark Souls, so yes.
Yeah, I joined the club, but still, no.
You mentioned bad games. I looked over at my game shelf and I looked over to my physical copy of Ride to Hell Retribution. I love a bad game.
I have heard so many things about that.
It's such a broken heap.
You know,
it's so bad.
I know it's a tangent, but
I
know it's a tangent, but I have not played it. I would love to because the dry humping scenes are just.
Oh, I saw some footage of that. It was gross.
It's not even those. They're not even the worst part. They're weird and they're unnecessary, and there's like 3 of them, and it's like it doesn't.
You help someone for 5 seconds, and now they're gonna have sex with you by dry humping on top of a pool table. And I saw footage of it. Like, I'm out. No.
Wait, what?
It's
no, that's not a joke.
If you let me go on about this game,
oh
yeah,
my God.
You save somebody from being sexually assaulted, and then they reward you with sex. It's weird.
Remember, children, women are not objects.
Yeah,
it's
be like that, man.
Hell, all right, but no, I can't. That game's a mess, and I could spend all day.
Bound by Flame was another one that a bunch of my friends were like, "You have to play Bound by Flame." I was like, "Oh, really? What's it about?" "Oh, it sucks. It's miserable."
When somebody's pitch to you is you need to play it, it sucks. Never question it. Just play it. You're gonna have so much fun hating it. It's so bad.
You know what?
Great.
You get to learn things from it of why it
It's
sucks.
the same way I feel about movies. Okay, so you know what?
Oh, I love bad bad D-list film horror. My girlfriend does not want to watch those, and I'm like, come on, let's watch Friday the 13th 47. It'll be a great time.
Oh boy!
So Beware Children at Play, the Children of the Corn bad parody that involves an entire scene of. Well, I don't want to ruin it. It's a terrible movie, but the ending is amazing.
Yeah, but I think that's probably for another time.
Yeah, we gotta move on to number 8.
This is getting tangenty.
Oh, I could sing songs about Night of the Lepus, my favorite horror movie involving rabbits, but very well.
My God, Night of the Lepus!
I love that movie so much.
Well, let's take the rabbits in the back and shoot them in the head. We gotta move on. So, we got question. Yeah?
Oh, you mind if I read number 8?
Sure.
Yeah, Night Dive Studios, the studio known for remastering games like Turok and Quake, apparently wants to do a remaster for Eternal Darkness. The developer claimed it probably won't happen due to so much legal tape from Nintendo. What is your honest opinion on Nintendo's stance for the situation? Honestly, it's probably just a lot of legal tape and a bunch of other stuff, considering Silicon Knights isn't no more, and there's probably a lot of legal issues they'd have to go through it. Also, maybe
the developers, they don't own any foreign trademark, so they're not even in the same.
Well, I was mainly talking about maybe they don't have access to source code or files or something like that.
Maybe that's the case too, right? But no, theoretically speaking, though, they can rebuild the source code or just think it was there and
reverse engineer it.
Yeah, it's not impossible.
Yeah, I'm with you. I strongly believe Night Dive can do it. If they did stuff like Shadow Man or Turok or Quake, I'm 100% positive they can re-engineer it and sort of make it for other platforms. But the elephant in the room is, will Nintendo allow it, or will they deal with all this other shit going on with the game in the background? And I think the big answer is definitely not. They're probably not even gonna. They probably see it as, well, they look at it profit wise, did this really turn anything phenomenal for us, or should we really go back and revisit it? Because companies have very different mindsets when it comes to publishing and bringing back games.
See,
did it at the time, or would it now?
I would agree to a standstill, but Nintendo has an annoying habit of not using IPs in general. I know it's not exclusive to them though, but with them in particular, it's just so stingy. They renew a trademark, but don't even freaking use it. So at one point, the trademark for Eternal Darkness was abandoned before they picked it back up again. They don't care about this though. You just hold on to it, just think of holding on to it.
Why the fuck do they do that?
I don't know.
In all fairness, it is a business. At the end of the day, they have to make a profit. So if they see okay, we could either work on the next Kirby game. I don't know if I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just using an example. Either we're going to work on the next Kirby game, or we're going to pull out a cult classic. Maybe we can revitalize it and make a lot of money. Maybe we can't. In all fairness.
I mean, at that point,
they can gamble one
You would
time.
think, right?
Yeah.
I get that Zelda CDI happened, and like Super Hornio Brothers happened.
Huh?
Like,
Well, that's like not even related to that. Though. Like, ironically, they bought it. Ironically, but
Nintendo owns that.
I know they own it. I know they own it.
Saying.
They own it just to get rid of it. They keep it unburied. That's why they got it. But as far as Zelda CDI though, that was just an unfortunate mistake they had.
But like at the same time, they greenlit Mario and Rabbids. They apparently don't care that much about the integrity of their IPs.
I mean, Mario and Rabbids is actually a pretty good game. I actually liked it.
I haven't played it, but I heard like
certainly not a Mario game.
I've heard if you like
mean,
XCOM, it's
unique...
XCOM Light, basically.
I mean, the guys who made it are genuinely passionate about it.
Okay.
They wanted to make a good game.
So
It's the same thing with Night Dive and Eternal Darkness, though. They're passionate about remaking this game, but Nintendo won't release the iron grip on their first-party IPs.
Okay,
and
so
I get that, but also like take a chance, guys.
I want to say that too, but once again, I do see the other side where it's like, oh, we got F-Zero, that was super popular back then, back in the day. That would be another racer. We don't want to cannibalize Mario Kart and stuff like that. So Nintendo has always had a weird line of thinking for reviving certain things and bringing things back to life and ignoring others while holding that IP. I personally, I don't know if I have any hope of this coming back. It seems like they would rather do like maybe an RPG or like someone said earlier, bring back Kirby, their first parties, before they even focus on bringing back something that's old from the GameCube era. We don't even have like the GameCube store up for Switch, so I was like, I don't even know if they're gonna even bother.
Nintendo could even like shallow pocket Kickstarter this thing, and it would be fine.
Oh yeah,
they wouldn't have to waste the money on a thing that's gonna obviously succeed. Because how many, tons of people want this game to get remade. It's a cult favorite.
Yeah,
this is why
it's not 2002 anymore. It's much easier to advertise a thing like this to a mass public. Like it couldn't be any freaking easier. People can easily speak out about their love for this whole title. There's a lot of them, and now they have the platforms to speak out about it. So the number's actually a lot bigger than they think. They just need to actually bother asking.
Right.
But here's the thing too I want to point out though. This is one thing I love about Sega. They may not be publishing certain games though, but at least they're allowed it to live out. Because for example, Streets of Rage 4. No, Sega didn't publish that, or I don't think they even pretty much funded it. They did, right? But whatever.
I think they just allowed it.
Yo, Drew, mute yourself, please.
I feel like Sega is the division of Nintendo that they allow to experiment with.
Essentially. But yeah, Street Rage 4, you got Shenmue, which, say what you will about the game, though, at least it exists out there. House of the Dead remake, say what you will about that, but it exists. Enter Dragoon, etc., etc. Sega may not be publishing it or funded it, where the backdoor deals behind that. But at least Sega allows it to exist and live out in surface. Nintendo's not doing that.
So glad you brought up Panzer Dragoon. I'm so happy that's back.
So if they could remake Saga, that'd be great, but I digress on that one.
Fingers crossed, they remade the first one. Why not?
Yeah, it's like it seems to be a case of the allowance of letting these IPs to live and thrive, and do it in a way where you don't really have to put in all this first party developer effort with your own people. Maybe get other people who are eager that say, hey, we want to see if we can do something with this thing, no problem. And if you are confident in their work, hand it over to them, publish the game. If people really like it, they will buy it in droves. I think a lot of people bought Streets of Rage 4 and they were super excited when it came out, so why not take a chance?
Because
money.
Oh, no, go ahead. I don't even know if Eternal Darkness counts as first party anymore either. They don't treat it like one.
I mean, it is first party. They own it, right?
They
published it. It's first party.
But technically it is, but they don't treat it like a first party IP. They don't make it this absolutely generic, can fit into any niche thing like Mario turns into every day, where he's not allowed to not like beats because people might like beats.
I think the problem is that's a horror game and that's its own other genre, and also the fact that it's for mature audiences, and the fact that it was released on the GameCube, which wasn't the successful system.
Made in Blackwater
Even though
came
it
back
has
out
great
on the
games on it.
Switch, and like the first boss in Made in Blackwater is, hey, it's a ghost that slits its own throat and slits yours in the process. Like, I would hope things like that continue.
They acknowledge it exists, but that's about it. Like the last anything we got of any mention of any existence of this was Alex being a spirit in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Yeah.
Other than that, it exists.
I think if you can Google something, it's a spirit in Smash Ultimate.
I've
It's
not
like a
seen
new
a
internet
problem.
rule.
I just missed
If-
the trophies.
Those were cool.
Yeah, a little history on everything. But something that was brought up earlier that I want to talk about was you guys saying the GameCube store for the Switch, if I heard that correctly. Like the GameCube store wasn't open on the Switch, right? It's kind of my belief. Oh, sorry.
Or that they didn't like sort of, migrate over into that. People said it was a slow process, that N64, they're doing that now, but GameCube was like requested for a long time for GameCube games on digital.
Right, and so this is just kind of like my belief and philosophy when it comes to games. No matter the game, no matter how good it was, no matter how bad it was, there will always be people out there to enjoy it. That enjoy it or just want to simply go back to it. So, this is a far-reaching philosophy. This will probably never happen. This is a if I ruled the world scenario. If I ruled the world or any game company, I would make it my absolute mission that every game that ever came out on the system must be available somehow on old systems. Like, you don't need to, okay, graphical remakes. Wonderful, great. We all love those. We don't need that. Just port the game, done. Keep it as janky and old as possible, but make it available, because I think as experiences, video games are very special in that kind of art. We can go back to old movies and find all sorts of stuff, but games, it's so much harder, which is why it's like, what's your moral beliefs when it comes to emulators? Fuck it, go for it. If the company itself is not willing to go back, we need to make it as publicly available as possible, because these are people's lives, dreams, works of art that should be shared, that should be enjoyed. So even if Eternal Darkness never gets a remake, emulators should always be available, kind of a thing. Or companies need to put in, it could be the minimal effort possible. Sell it for $1, who cares? And just make it so it's publicly available.
I agree with you, though. Unfortunately, it's an industry thing, because especially
it's a business. You got to make
20,
money.
30 years ago, like, people didn't even preserve the games. They didn't even keep the source code. And granted, though, things are getting better now, though. But still, there are companies out there like Nintendo who's refusing to preserve their titles or keep the stores up, or at least have another solution for us to play these games. Unfortunately, no, nothing can be done about it unless you do the morally grail route, as some people would say, and emulate.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a pirate that way, not gonna lie.
Like, my philosophy is this with that. If you're not going to give me an affordable way to play the game, I'm going to use them. Sorry, I'm not shelling out. I'm not shelling out a single paycheck's worth for one freaking old game from 20 years ago, especially in today's world. Not a fucking chance.
Oh, even on like the Wii shop, where it's like all these different games on like the NES or stuff, it's like, okay, you can buy Super Metroid for $5. Well, Super Metroid's a phenomenal game. Sure, I'm gonna shell out $5, but then you realize everything is $5, and that shit adds up fast. So that's why it's like, make it cheap, make it available. You don't need to put any more polish on it. Just release it as is. Just make it available for people to play and enjoy.
Especially for older games that only exist in a physical medium other than emulators.
Exactly, yeah.
They do get destroyed over time. It just happens. Not even on purpose. Sometimes you'll just step on a game.
Yeah, for age as well,
Yeah, your disc.
It's a problem, or with cartridges, like, those have expiration date. They're going to die at some point.
Yep, your discs will degrade, so definitely get used to them. I want to say, Brandon, you have something to say before you cut off, or do you remember?
Yeah, apologies about that.
That's fine.
No, I forgot, I lost my train out there, so that's fine.
All right. So.
Honestly, I think I got. I got my thoughts out there. I would really like to see a remaster, but who knows if that'll ever happen. So yeah.
I just pray that Night Dive does it, because there's a name to that. Also, I'm sorry to cut you off, Brenda.
That's why, like, until it happens, until I see it, even if it's an announcement though, until I see it, I can play it though. I do not have any hope whatsoever that the game will get a remaster of some kind.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm at a point where I'm just not a believer. Like, all these rumors and stuff, like things will happen. No, I need to see it. I need to see an announcement. Until that happens, I don't believe shit. Simple as that.
Silent Hill 5, Pikmin 4, Silent Hill 5.
That's another story entirely. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm tired of the Silent Hill
your
stuff.
optimism.
I'm tired.
Well, if it happens, it doesn't. It happens. If it doesn't, it's fine.
I'm the same. I don't believe people can pose Eternal Darkness remake coming out or Silent Hill 5. I just don't believe it till I see it. But it is, like I said, it is good that a face wants to do it. It's just I hope the initiative goes behind it as well. And considering everything we talked about, is kind of hard to pinpoint at this current point in time.
Unless there's an abandoned build out there somewhere.
That'd be nice if they could easily just restore the code and just go off from there, and you know.
I just remember the entire thing that was going around with the lost and found, like Resident Evil 1.5, like the hard early build for Resident Evil 2 with like different characters and junk, and it slowly just got put back together like an Eldritch puzzle. And it kind of exists. It's like 80% complete. You can download it. It's not done, but it exists. So if there's a lost build for Eternal Darkness 2 somewhere, when like some passionate developer was just making it, and then it got scrapped, it could exist in somebody's what is it? Not U-Haul, like Daryl's mini storage somewhere. Just some drive.
Basement.
Yeah, exactly. In some haunted mansion, there could be a basement where there's a chest that has a hard drive with a build on it.
All right, that's going to hunt and haunt houses. Who wants to come with?
I'm game.
Let's go, boys.
All right, this might be a little
fill
bit
up your sanity meter.
This might be a little bit of a side question, but I think it is an interesting one to discuss for you guys. So, Night Dive Studios, whether or not they like make a remake, let's pretend they do, right? How much do you think they should change or update? Like, should it just be a strictly graphical, or do you think they should change?
Okay, so first they say remaster first, but if it was a remake, I would want as much from the original as possible, if not more, for modern conventions. So do stuff that like will fuck with me, like, hey, you're playing on PC, you get a sanity meter that's low, the System 32 is going bye-bye. Oh wait, no, we're just fucking with you.
Right, like change the video 2 thing, but I'm just curious if there's anything else you guys are like, this should be added more of.
If it was a remake, I guess like restore like the stuff they wanted to do on N64 but couldn't, like the extra character.
Okay, well, if we're talking strictly remaster though, they could go as far as the budget will allow or what they can realistically do. But if they can like literally take on the assets and just like really redo them from the ground up, not do a remake though, just think it was there that's like ugly and fix them up real nicely like Capcom did for their remasters for Resident Evil was it 0 and remake. I think that would be just good enough. Of course, maybe update the controls a little bit. Because 2002 controls made that translate well today.
Yep.
Right, like besides quality of life and general graphic updates, it's like besides those, I'm curious what you guys would think should be added or changed, or if nothing at all.
Well, honestly, I don't think they can really add much. Maybe aside maybe a costume though, because at that point you're going to remake territories as far as like changing things. So at that point, just do a remake.
I would agree with Ren though. Like if you play it on PC, have more PC orientated errors. If you play it on PS4, or I know not PS4, but insert console, have those kinds of errors. I think might be good.
Yeah.
Realistically, it might be just a Switch title. So
yeah, just have the Switch. Like, you know what would be the messed up thing? Have them present the game as a more of a GameCube store, and then just delete it. And then as soon as you look, I'm like, oh no, I wanted that. You took it away from me, you bastard.
I mean, I was thinking they could probably purposely have Joy-Con drift and that as like a sanity thing.
Dude, that
would piss off people legit.
No, that'd be funny though.
I'd be like, what the fuck happened to
that part piss off a lot of people considering drifting is still a problem issue right now. So
yeah,
but that would be fun. That would be kind of funny though.
It would
be Eternal Darkness to fuck with people though. Like, what's the way I could just ruin you mentally?
Just randomly say people are online in your friends list that don't exist.
Yeah. Oh god, that'd be scary.
Wait,
like
it says
someone is playing, and it's like just like a demonic face, or like the god, one of the gods or something.
Augustus has joined your stream.
Yep.
Oh
no!
Hold on. Drill, you were saying something?
I was gonna say like it says Augustus is now online.
Oh, that'd be funny.
I sent you a friend request.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. That and decompress any audio that I know you had to like compromise on. GameCube discs are kind of tiny.
Disc.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than graphical updates, and then I would also say give me the option to hide my sanity bar. I don't know why it gives me this dipstick I can put in my ear and find out how sane I am.
So no HUD?
Give me a HUD. Just I don't want to see my sanity.
Minimal.
How about customizable HUD then?
You know, that works.
Oh yeah, I love that shit.
That works.
I mean, anything to make it more accessible, right?
Place
So,
your giant job meters.
Maybe photo mode as well. I mean, that's a popular
That'd be
thing
cool.
these days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Especially in
sweet.
the rooms where like you see the size of the gods, or like, sorry, slight spoiler, when they're fighting at the end, just being able to just go photo mode and like explore around the cosmos a little bit.
Photo mode, you take a snapshot, and then all of a sudden there's like a ghost or something behind you, and then it kills you, and it's just a sanity trick.
You take a snapshot and it adds a ghost, like those old terrible ghost hunter shows, just like in the back there's something there.
Yeah,
Or it just like gives you a sanity glitch to your picture every time.
yeah, like
Scare
stuff
G-posers.
stuff that messes with your sanity actually in photo mode would probably be a good way of adding it in the game and keeping you on your toes at the same time.
I mean, they give Wind Waker a selfie mode. Why not?
So
Yeah.
At the crib with Cthulhu, and you just take his selfies. He's like eating your leg.
Yay!
So I think that's it for the show. We're gonna sort of wrap up here and do our outros before it gets like way too long. So Drill, where can we find you?
Yeah, you could find me on Twitter at Drillbit777. That's really where I'm most active on.
All
I'll
right.
find you a house party just for the background noise.
House party, house party. All right. Next up is Justin.
Find me on Twitter at InfernoDragon3D and on Twitch and YouTube at InfernoDragon343.
Max, where can we find you?
Main place would be twitch.tv/LordEctro, where am I allowed to say what I do, or?
Yes.
All right, I'm a variety streamer. I tend to focus on franchise series. Right now, we're on Resident Evil, just going from the first game all the way to the end. And I try to look at games more analytically in terms of game design to see what we can learn. Also, I have a Twitter and YouTube. I don't know how they work, so you'll mostly find me on Twitch.
Next up is Cujo.
You can find me on YouTube at Overlord Arcade. Just daily uploads and junk.
Brendan.
You can find me on Twitter at RenOperative_.
Fuck off.
Damn.
We gotta show you.
Also, you can find.
No, you can't find me on Pornhub.
No, I was gonna say you can find them on TikTok.
No.
I was gonna say,
Rikkin Island.
once we get enough donations, maybe.
Yeah, he's doing Fortnite dance. Let's go.
Oh, wow. That's a
Kali used to work
death.
for Fortnite. I don't want to know about that anymore.
All right, for real though. You can find me on Twitter at Immortal Brando. You can find me on Twitch at Sir Brando. I don't stream often, or at all for that matter, but maybe that'll change. YouTube is now you got them business. At least for now.
Spooky Ghost.
Oh, me. You can find me at on YouTube, which is my main thing. Spooky Scary Gaming, and sometimes I post on my Twitter as Spooky Scary Game. I couldn't fit gaming in there; it was too long. And yeah.
And she'll be shit posting on a lot of movies and saying yeet a lot as time goes along. Which I have to upload, by the way, but that'll be for later. Also, you can find me on Twitter at RenOperative_. You can find me on YouTube, Renegade Operative. I'm playing this crazy game, Eternal Darkness, right now, and experiencing stuff like my head falling off like a meatball, so that's wonderful. I will be playing it more often, maybe tomorrow, but that's going to be that. I'm going to try to get this podcast up as soon as possible, so I'll be working on that. So we're going to end the show right here for all the people out there in YouTube and Spotify land. Hopefully you really enjoyed it. And once again, take care. Don't fall for ghosts. You're a bum.
No, you.
Hell you.